First of all, you may know that John and I ran as co-presidents for our association, and part of that is we really see the hierarchy is difficult to get input and the conversation going, so we really are trying to flatten our organization a little bit more, getting input from our members, the community, that sort of thing. And so it also, for both John and I having young families and being involved in a lot of different organizations in our community, that it'd be easier to split up some duties, that sort of thing. So we haven't defined them hard and fast, but you'll probably notice John's doing more on the communication side of things. I'm going to deal more with political action and some more internal type things. So as you get to know us, you'll be able to know, oh, maybe I'll talk to Ed about that. We're still kind of both in the president capacity. Maybe that'll make it easier for communications in some ways. But we'll try to fish that out and let you know as we figure it out too. We're trying to build our organization and make it better. So again, being political action chair for our association, I'm kind of doing all things political. And first of all, I do just want to thank Beth Ducey for your service. As somebody who I've worked at a couple of school sites now over the last few years. I do value being able to see board members come to school sites. It's not only about the governance, but it's about being able to see what's happening in the trenches, so to say. And that has definitely been a board member that has been an example of that. So I do thank you. I also value the conversation. I know political engagement in our country, even here in Tahoe, Truckee, tends to be a polarizing issue, and people do disagree. But I think if we can sit down and talk to each other about the things that we disagree about, we can come to compromises and solutions that can benefit everybody. So John and I are definitely, that's going to be one of our goals, is to do that. So we hope that we can see that from all parts of our constituents of our educational community. So again, just following up on what pretty much everybody has said, the school board as well as many boards in our town are very important, and I do want to thank Ms. Gibbons-Johnson for your wonderful editorial, or a Meister column, I think it was, in the paper, for showing the importance, and I'm sure all of you, after now being public servants, can see that it's fun, it's rewarding, and it's also a lot of responsibility, and I appreciate all of you for stepping up to do that, because a lot of times we don't have that. I was just looking last night, and a lot of the, not only Tahoe Truckee, but fire, Parks and Rec, airport board, a lot of different places are showing they're looking pretty lonely right now. So just as part of from an association perspective, and a lot of teachers who are engaged in the community, we feel that it's very important. So we would love to have people step up too, even if you don't agree. We can always have a conversation. So I'm excited about that. A couple of things just to share in our coming up in November that we'll be voting on. One thing is that our executive team and local leadership would like to support Tom Torlickson for Superintendent of Education. Superintendent of Education is a nonpartisan race in California, and it's more of an organizational head than like a policy-making position. But there's a lot of it's a big bully pulpit, so to say. So it's definitely an important race, and there will be two people running, and we just want to let you know that Tom Torlickson, we feel, will advance public education. Just some of the things that he stands for: support adequately funding public education, and I know all of you will be for that. Support assistance, not sanctions, to help lower performing schools. Supports accountability for all schools, including charter schools. Advocates for the continued improvement of our neighborhood schools, and opposes paying teachers based solely on student test scores. That can be certainly an indicator, but just based on that, that will be a conversation we'll have to have. So I certainly would like to put that to you, and I'll hand these out a little bit later. Also, there's two propositions that will be on the ballot as well, Props 24 and 25. Proposition 24 is the Tax Fairness Act, and we'd like to ask all of our local citizens concerned for public education to vote yes on 24. And this will restore about $2 billion in tax incentives that have been given to corporations to fund public education. So that's Prop 24. Prop 25 is the majority vote for our budget. And I know we've all heard about the California budget deadlock. and we're writing it right now. The last week or so, they have no budget. So this proposition would allow a majority vote as opposed to a 2/3 vote, and we are one of just a very few states that require a 2/3 vote. 3 states, think about that. 3 states that require a 2/3 vote, and that would just kind of get this gridlock out, and we can move ahead and start to have that conversation once again instead of kind of polarizing back and forth. So I have some more information on that I was going to do. And lastly, we just want to reiterate to you that you have TTEA's full support for Measure A. John and I and Stephanie Bacon, our organizing chair, sat down for a meeting with Donna Morgan yesterday, and we talked about some ways that TTEA and our organizing capacity that we have in our community can be involved, and we just want to say that we are at your full, you have our full support, and we will be working with you and for you and whatever you need to make that happen. So I know that we're still in the planning stages, and whether it's in November or at a later date, we just want you to know that we will be working with you and want to be available however possible. So thank you again for all the work you do, and especially in this time of elections. Thank you for your public service.
Thank you. Is TTEA able to go to TTEA for election assistance?
Bring that up because it may have been mentioned before, but once we do know about a date of when the measure we run, we can work together with the campaign committee to come up with a strategy, and whether it's like we'll fund a mailer or host something or just give money directly, we can do that. And we can go to CTA for grants for that part of it. I'm not sure about the amount yet. It's kind of one of those things that they have a budget year, and as it goes through, it gets less and less. But it's good that it's not November, because then after that gets replenished, and we can ask again for the spring. We also locally have a political action committee that each dues-paying member of our association puts 50 cents every month into our political action committee. And we are willing to also use that funding as well to support Measure A. So that would go to our executive team and that sort of thing. But we'll be looking at multiple sources, also maybe helping with some of the fundraising effort. I know there's some maybe dinners and socials that will be fundraising, so we'd love to be a part of that. We live in Truckee, Tahoe too, and we like to hang out with people. So use us.